Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ladies, understand something. The top end of a woman's weight is 145 pounds. Okay. My mother's 5'9" and she was 145 pounds until she was 50. That's the top end of your weight because there should be about a 40-pound difference between you and men.
Basically, if the guy is rich, what ends up happening is the lawyer contacts the person and be like, hey, you know, your name gonna be all in the paper, so you might as well just settle out of court.
I can recognize talent. Even if I don't agree with the politics, a lot of the politics that was underlying in the show and some of the sentiments he was trying to share, I recognize artistry when an artist is present.
Yes, this is the definition of absolutely cooked. We'll never go back and take a look at her bad decision and take accountability for any of that.
Because there is powerful people in the industry, somehow there is a different law that applies to them. And I agree with that assessment.
What up, what up, what up, what up? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, where you at? Talk to me. Happy Tuesday, folks. I hope all is well with everyone. We back at it. Shout outs to my writers, my poets, my content creators. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to everybody who tapped in yesterday. If you didn't see the show, make sure you tap in. It was a good one. Everything that you could have asked for, we gave it to you. Today's no different. We got a two-header this time, though. Yeah, two clips. One of them was brought to my attention a little earlier. Shout out to my man Ricardo. He presented me this story, and sometimes when I see some of this stuff, it's hard for me to believe like things like this happen. But I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. We got two videos to react to. I got Jason in the building. I got Sydney in the building. I got Candace in the building. It's going to be a good one. It's definitely about to be a good one. Do me a solid. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, repost to share this out. Let the people know we live. If you have any questions, comments, concerns throughout the stream for anybody here, including myself, make sure you tap in with us. Let me go ahead and bring everybody up so they can introduce themselves to the world, man, because a lot of you are familiar with us. Some of you aren't familiar with us. You're fairly new to the channel. I thank you for being here humbly. Let's get everyone up on the panel. Hold on. All right. What up? What up? What up? What up?
Hey, everyone.
Hello, hello. What's the word? What's the word?
I hear babies in the back.
Yes.
I got some too now. I'm running around here somewhere. Got babysitting my daughter's dogs. All right. Well, what's going on, everybody?
Good. Jason, you and Candace, this is your first time formally meeting. She joined us yesterday. Dope show. Candace, Jason, Candace.
That's funny.
I get creative.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you kindly.
So I met Jason on Facebook. I met Candace on Threads. Just a quick summary of how we all kind of just linked up. Sydney I met on Threads. Rob I met on Twitter. A lot of social media here. So I'm looking forward to the different perspectives. Anything that you want to say before we get started, though? Anybody?
You got it.
I did. It's really good. I'm not done with it yet, but I've started it. I really like it.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Just so you know, Candace, that's actually a book that I wrote called The Leading Man, a practical guide for men to lead with strength and vision. So, yeah.
It's about empowering men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, more so teaching men how to lead correctly.
Okay. But what if they don't believe it?
Well,
that not your book. It's like within themselves. That's
right,
my whole thing.
So that's part of the thing that I actually talk about, because the reason why they wouldn't believe it is because they carry a wound, and that wound shows up in their behavior. And so you first have to identify it and then clear it out before you can actually create the behaviors that actually demonstrate that you can be a leader. And the way I define leadership is, especially for men, is the expressive ability to negotiate and resolve conflict in order to reach a shared goal.
That's good. Okay. I was taking it for myself, but yeah.
I'm also I have in the works The Nurturing Woman. I've been collaborating with my wife to write that one, which is going to be the second part of there's 3 books that I actually have in me. The first one is The Leading Man. The second one is The Nurturing Woman. And this really helps the goal here is to really identify the power that exists within femininity and why it is so important. And then the third book is Winning the Human Condition, which shows why both the masculine and the feminine, humanity cannot survive without both.
Right. But then I think it's cultural too.
It's not cultural; it's biological. We've been doing this for over 300,000 years. To say that it's cultural is a vast misnomer.
No, I only say because everyone's raised a little different. So in that background, not like just because we're black or you're white or whatever. It's just like the background of it. Like some people may not have their parents around or whatnot, so they don't know how to properly lead, or they may have been adopted, and so they just act differently. So that's what I was.
So when it comes to culture versus biology, culture is shaped by biology, and so the cultural and societal constructs have been created in order to support the biological constructs that have made it possible for human beings to survive, like I said, over 300,000 years. So the goal is to really understand how we can do a better job of keeping this moving forward in a way that is sustainable, because we're at a crisis point right now. And like you said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that there are many people who are raised by single mothers, single fathers that are adopted, and both have their own struggles, or they all have their own struggles. And understanding how, as adults, it's important to take responsibility for your own emotional healing and make it happen.
I get it. But that's the part where I was saying, how do they believe in themselves?
Exactly.
All right.
I'm glad y'all
We can
brought
start
up
the show.
the single. Yeah. We've pretty much segued into this first video that I'm about to play here in a second. So it actually has something to do with parenthood. So I'm gonna play this first one. Is about 55 seconds. The second one I'm gonna play later. But what I want to do is I want to try to knock this one out real quick. Let me know if y'all agree, disagree, how you feel about it. We'll kick the show off this time with you, Candace, since we already broke you in yesterday. We'll go from you, we'll go to Sydney, and then we'll go to Jason.
I'll pass it off. I'll go like that. Okay, and you grab it, Sydney. So there, you're like there. No, the other arm. The other arm. Oh, I'm over there. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Then should I go like that? Okay. And then Sydney, she can pass it on down to Jason. Like,
there you go.
All right, we got the torch.
Also, my husband bought this.
Actually, you can raise a child to value $1 without making them.
Let me stop.
Oh,
all right, go ahead.
Hell no.
So now I have my own reaction button.
She's like,
okay.
It says hell no. I'm gonna have to start holding up some cards like now I'm gonna make one.
Sorry.
As we watch the video. Let's proceed.
Actually, you can raise a child to value $1 without making them struggle for it.
Whatever, using our fucking vocabulary word you want to use. Struggle, adversity, whatever, trials and tribulations, whatever the fuck you want to use. Long story short, I'm not rolling the red carpet for you. So whatever word you want to use to describe that, whatever. All I'm saying is, as a parent, I'm not rolling the red carpet for you.
So
I don't give a fuck how much
you'll be one of those
I
parents that I went through it, so you got to go through it too. That's not the parent you're going to be. Not
Goddamn
me.
right.
Not me. And good thing you're not a parent yet.
Goddamn
because
right.
that is a horrible way of thinking when it comes to raising children. Your children's going to grow up to hate your ass. I'm telling you now.
So
children
what?
will grow
They'll be
up
all
and
right.
resent you and hate you because you made them struggle unnecessarily.
You grew up with a roof. You grew up with a roof over your head. Food in your stomach. Clothes in your body.
No,
and
children need more than that. Children need more than that. And the
Quit
reason,
bitching.
and I know you're gonna come at me for yelling, but when it comes to kids, I'm passionate about that shit because a lot of our parents fucked us up, and I don't think it's fair for us to turn around and give that to our kids. No, you're not okay, nigga. You be on here going off every damn episode. You're not okay. I'm not okay.
We're not okay.
I agree there.
Is anyone ever okay?
Ish. I guess it really depends on the day.
I mean, I get from both sides. My kids are coming in here. My grandkids, so apparently. Would y'all stop? Oh my god. We live, y'all. Anyway, I get from both perspectives of what she's talking about, but I'm not gonna baby my children either. So I have a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. I'm not gonna make them struggle like how I'm struggling. They still see me struggling because we got to move right now. That's what all I keep saying within this whole podcast, which is only 2 days so far. I gotta move. But and I don't even know where I'm going. But I'm not gonna make them go through everything we go through. You know, I can only guide you from the words and some experiences. I'm like, hey, like my oldest, she moved out 2 years ago because she ended up getting her boyfriend or whatnot. You know, I'm like, yeah, man, you can't do that here. You know, if you're gonna do that, you know, you gotta go to your own crib. They got their own crib. And then but when she was here, I had her paying $400. You know, she had 2 jobs, but she $400. One was for her cell phone bill that we was on. Another one was just for I think 3 was just for rent, just to show her. Oh, and so because she loves taking long showers, hour-long showers. So I'm like, hey man, this your water bill. And but I was just showing her a little bit, and she made like maybe $1,200 from the 2 jobs, and she's like $400. Oh my god, blah blah blah. I'm like, man, that ain't nothing. I said that's groceries, you know. But at the end, when she moved out to her new place, what happened? Hey, mom, you were right. You know, like $400 ain't nothing. Can I move back in for $400? I'm like, oh no, price has went up. Like equity has went up. Everything has went up. but although it went up, we gotta get out anyway. But but it's just the fact, like, okay, I'm going to show you only what I can show you, but you still have to learn from your, you're going to learn for yourself, but I can only guide you certain ways. What are y'all doing? Sorry. Call him a little tramp. The girl. But yeah, I mean, I get both perspectives. I'm not rolling out no red carpet. I don't even want the red carpet rolled out for me. So I like to be in the shadows. I like to look, and be happy in the background. Oh.
I wasn't a fan of his delivery, but I agree. I could see both of their sides. To me, value of money comes with understanding how to use money effectively. It's understanding the systems of money, understanding what to do with it to make it help you rather than to be something that holds you back. Because I think in our culture today, there are very few people that genuinely know how to work with their money. Like, most people just think like debt is free money. And so as long as I can keep getting debt, then I can keep getting whatever I want and I have limitless funds. But that's not how you successfully operate in the real world. And so for a parent to raise a child with the value of money, one, they should be exposed to money early on, but in a way that's in line with their developmental stage. So obviously you're not going to be like, you're 8 now, so you're going to start paying us rent. Like, you're going to have to find a job or something and make your way. Like, I don't believe in making them struggle in that sense. I believe in making them learn in a age appropriate way. So by the time they're 10 to 12, they will start having an allowance, and I won't like make them buy their own food, but I'm not going to be buying them whatever they want. If there's something that they really have their heart set on, that's non-essential, that's going to be their responsibility to buy for themselves. That way they start to understand that, one, money is not just something that gets handed to them whenever they want something. Mm-hmm. And B, they also understand that if you really want something, you have to work for it. It's not something that's just gonna be like, yeah, sure, here, go ahead. And as they get older, I'll start to pull back more and more of what I do, and will also introduce them to more and more things relating to finances. So like budgeting and all the other aspects that you'll need to know, like understanding rent and understanding interest and all the other aspects that really make a difference in terms of financial literacy. I definitely would. I don't think I'd ever be the parent that would be like
that one back there.
I'm not going to feed you. I'm not going to like give you.
He is calling your attention.
My velociraptor. I would never deprive them of the things that they need. But once they do get to 18, if I'm noticing that they're becoming dependent on me, I would definitely make some moves to make them understand that that's not an appropriate step, that they need to be moving past that. So yeah, I agree with both sides where you can't shelter them until they're 18, because by then it won't be too late, but they'll be pretty far into some bad habits already. But I also don't believe in pulling the rug out from under them and like disadvantaging them just because you want them to learn the hard lesson.
So there's a quote that I love. I found it when I was in university, and I read it every time that I can. Hard times create hard people. Hard people create soft times. Soft times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. And what I take from that is there's this idea that if you're hard, then you got to make things easy for people. But when you make it easier for people, it softens them.
Mm-hmm.
And when they become soft, they realize that life is hard, and they become bitter. And so, and the times begin to wane. Like things are good, so we're just going to live off of what we've done. And oh shit, now I have no plan. I have no way of moving forward, and now I'm screwed. Now life is hard. And then because times are hard, it creates people that have to be hard, that have to be hungry, that have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get what they need. Strong survival mode. And I see this conversation, like really strong on one side, really strong on the other. And I'm thinking to myself, why does it have to be this way? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be that we see our children as more as people that we're meant to mentor? Why is it that we can't see our children as being the future of our society, who are then going to become the next leaders, the ones who take up the mantle and move forward with it? And I'm definitely not in agreement of rolling out the red carpet. I think that is the dumbest way to be. That is the greatest way to create a soft civilization, as we're seeing now. At the same time, just saying, well, I went through it, so you got to go through it. That's not the solution either. It's about taking what we've learned and doing our best to convey that there is a better way. But if they have to take it the hard way, I'm not going to stop you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to stop you from making a fool out of yourself. I'm going to do the best that I can to show you that there is a better way. But if you're intent on doing it this way, hey, you got free will. So far be it from me to be someone who's going to stop you from making a mistake that you're going to learn from. And that's another thing, is to remind another quote from Batman: "Why do we fall? So we can get back up." And it's really about letting our children understand that, yes, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a lot of them. You're supposed to. Failure is not only an option, it's an inevitability. The idea isn't to not fail. The idea is to learn from how you have fallen short, and then reevaluate your plan so that you can do better next time.
You plan to fail, or you fail to plan?
Well, no, you fail because you fail, but the idea is to fail forward. The idea is that every time you fail, you learn from it, and you may not make the mark, but you've gotten incrementally better. As long as you're improving by at least 1%, you're good.
Yeah. Well, that's what sin is, right? Well, so to speak, missing the mark. We all miss the mark.
Yep, absolutely. That's the definition of sin. So if we know that that's the definition of sin, then it can't be a bad thing, especially if we all do it. Because it causes us to learn. We sin in order to learn how to do better. And that's what grace is, the ability to understand that we can do better and to give ourselves the opportunity to do so. Ourselves and others. I yield the mic.
To my bro, Lucas. I was telling a story yesterday. It was kind of brief, and it was about, like, when I was growing up, my siblings, they pretty much got the clothes that I outgrew. Sometimes there were things that I got that I couldn't get rid of, and my folks weren't making 50,000-60,000 a year or nothing like that, so we would improvise, right? But I got to remind you that I'm in an era and in a different, like, part of the world where the things that held value typically came with a high price tag. So as a kid, me looking at how the outside world was looking at it, you're making me put on cheap clothes. You're making me this, that, and the third. I'm not understanding it the way that the adults are until I got older, and I realized, like, me cutting my pants and turning them into shorts and turning my long sleeves into short sleeves was one of those intrinsic ideals that was passed down to me that has a lot more weight and value to it than buying a $200 pair of shoes. Just to piggyback on what you were saying, I absolutely don't have no crow whatsoever with how you view this, because honestly, I don't think it's just about money specifically in this case, even though we know you need money, but I think it's a little deeper than just the money. I think you got to have core values, morals, um, certain principles that are.
It's got to be some love in the house.
It's definitely got to be love. It has to be love in the house. You know, when I left work today, all I see is people. All I see is people staring in their cell phone like robots, construction workers, business people, people jogging, people on their bikes. Everybody, their faces in their phone. And I don't want to rob the kids of the experiences of knowing, look, you got to work for what you want. You just can't have everything that you asking for just because you got those doughy eyes and you still got that innocent voice, and you're even before, like for me, even before we even start talking about how much money I'm gonna give you a week, we're gonna start with something a little more simple. Let's start with how about you making up your bed, you cleaning up your room, you getting your toys off the ground, helping me around the yard, or raking leaves or something like that, something a little small before we build up to all of like the financial stuff that come with it, because you can put money or a price tag on the value of the work, but if they don't know the difference between why you should take pride in wanting to get your hands dirty versus kind of just getting everything handed to you, you're doing a huge disservice. I yield the mic.
Who?
He yielded the mic, the camera, everything.
I can still see your guy. Who?
You can if you want.
I don't have nothing to say. I'm just listening.
It's up in the air. It's up in the air.
Yeah. No, I'm just listening.
One thing I could add, one of the things people forget about too with financial literacy is it's almost like attachment with how you're treated in the household, where it's something that's cumulative. It's not something that you can necessarily like, here's a book, learn it. It's something that they absorb from being part of it. Like watching you at the store, budgeting your own money, watching you not go out and spend thousands of dollars just at the mall because you feel like it. Kids see every single habit that their parents have, and they absorb everything that their parents do as their normal reality. And so if we are using these behaviors in our own lives, the chances are our kids are probably going to pick those up too, and they're going to absorb them in some capacity. Even if you try and hide it from them, they're still going to notice it in some ways. Like if you're a shopaholic, even if you never talk to your kids about being a shopaholic and always going to the stores and stuff like that, they're still going to see random new things appearing all the time. So it's hard to hide these types of behaviors from our children. And so to teach them well about the value of money and how to be responsible as an adult with money, you kind of have to be their example throughout their life. They are, as I said, they're going to pick up on everything that you're doing. And as I said, it's not really always something that you can teach. There are aspects that you can teach them. A lot of information regarding like how to identify if a loan is actually a good idea, how to use a credit card effectively if you want to use one, how to, as I mentioned earlier, like how to budget, how to make sure that you have the money that you need, like how to save. A lot of people think these are intuitive processes, but it takes, like, for my own financial literacy, if you asked me 10 years ago how to properly manage money, how to like pay off debt, how to do any of that stuff, I would have absolutely no idea. I had to teach myself a lot of these things because my parents made the mistake of hiding it from me, and oh well, you don't have to worry about it, don't worry about it. And so when I got to when I got to college, I had my college credit card, and what did I do? I spent it up and I generated debt, and then I hid it from my parents because we never talked about that stuff. And so I didn't feel even comfortable bringing that type of stuff up. I didn't feel comfortable asking the questions. I didn't even know what questions to ask. And it took me basically realizing I had a problem to actually start educating myself voluntarily, and realizing like if I don't start teaching myself these things, like clearly I'm missing something. Clearly other people are doing something right and I am not doing something right because I am only accumulating stuff and not savings when I should be the other way around. And so hiding it from your kids and sheltering it from them is just as bad, is just as bad, because they, like in my case, I didn't have any idea what to do when I got into the real world. I still don't exactly know how to budget myself. Like I've figured out generically, but I don't have that as a habit. I don't have that as a routine for myself. And routines and habits, as I've come to find out, are obviously people can do it themselves, but are largely from how they grew up. So yeah, I think it's definitely important to still include your child in your life, and understand that your habits are going to rub off on them, whether you think you're hiding it or not.
This conversation is taking an interesting turn. I kind of like it. The idea of how we mentor our children is, I mean, it's not a conversation that's had enough, and it needs to be something that we do more often, I think, because the way in which we deal with our children is going to be the way in which they deal with the world. And there's something that you said, Sydney, about what we the habits that a person has, they're developed by childhood, and for a large part I would say yes, but that's a beautiful dog, by the way. For the most part, yes. However, a person can better, how do I say this? A person can learn how to change their habits by changing the way that they understand themselves, others, and especially their parents. And the better you can understand where you come from, the better perspective you have of what to create next. And
please, sorry,
that's all right. It's not the dog. I'm trying to keep my thoughts all together. I'm gonna stop right there because I'm having a hard time collecting my thoughts, but I'll come back to it.
Okay, I got one. So, would you stop? So, I think also if the kids, it depends on how the child is being brought up, because if they're like their parents are celebrities or whatnot, thank you. If the if the parents are celebrities, that's just, oh my God, that's the way they brought up. So therefore, they're used to having that kind of luxury lifestyle or whatever. But you know, it'd be different for a kid who was raised up in the ghetto, South Central LA. You know, to have go with your brother. Go on, get out of here. They're raised different. So one is used to having, money. I remember when I was a teenager or maybe in my early 20s or something like that. Madonna's daughter had she was only 12 years old and already had a credit card. So I'm like, dude, that's the kind of lifestyle she has, so it's just all on, I guess, what is it? Not the environment, but there's a word. Their surroundings. It's not surroundings. It's their where they live or their lifestyle. It all depends on the lifestyle of how a child was raised. But you can still raise them in a right way, because you get the rich uptight folks that just think everything is handed to them and they feel privileged or whatever. So I'm like, no, you can get it yourself. So it just, oh my God.
I'm actually glad you brought that part up, because this next video that I'm about to play, it actually ties into what happens when that mentorship is lacking. So this one's like 31 seconds. Yeah.
Headline that's hard to believe. 3 teen girls are accused of plotting to kill their mother because she turned off the Wi-Fi. Happened overnight on Barker's Crossing near the West Houston airport. Investigators say the sisters grabbed kitchen knives and chased their mom through the house. She was also hit with a brick. Their grandmother knocked over for trying to stop it. Nobody was seriously hurt. The girls, who were between 14 and 16, were sent to juvenile detention. This one's a
serves them right.
I can't say it entirely surprises me, because I've heard of similar situations before where teenagers were denied or had something taken away from them, or they were locked up in the room, or whatever punishment, and so they actually tried to kill their parent or did manage to kill their parent. It's sad, but in a certain respect, it does make sense, because at that age, the hormones and the lack of maturity makes it can make it a huge challenge for kids to handle really strong emotions. And if they don't have a very good connection with their parent, if they feel like they can't communicate with their parent, it's not entirely unheard of for them to want to hurt the parent, because it's out of desperation, where they feel like there's no other way out of whatever type of restraint they feel in that situation. Not condoning it, definitely. If any juveniles are watching this and you ever feel like you have issues with your parent, don't do that. There are definitely other avenues to seek resolution. And
you sure ain't gonna get no funds in jail from your parents if you're trying to kill them.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna put no money on your books.
Mm-hmm. But I can understand what might have caused that, but it also speaks to the level of dependence and addiction that these kids have on technology of all kinds. I've also seen this in videos and people documenting teenagers, even young children's extremely violent outbursts as a result of technology being taken away from them, the TV being turned off, their video game system being removed. Kids are highly dependent and addicted to these activities, to the point that that desperation is going to kick in. And when you're desperate, that's usually one of the times that you're more likely to act out at somebody else, regardless of the consequences. Yeah, so we definitely, this is two-pronged, because this is definitely both about parental giving and addiction to technology.
I see it as being something far worse. And that is the lack of understanding of proper consequences. There's no understanding that consequences happen. FAFO apparently doesn't apply. And it's one of those things where you have to learn that sometimes. And whether you're learning from your mama, your daddy, it doesn't matter. You got to learn that, you know what, you do something stupid, you're going to get your ass whooped. And I got my ass beat regularly. And as a result, I suffer from a condition called respect for others. And it's a great condition to have. I love it. I utilize it daily. I recommend it. I recommend it wholeheartedly. And when I look at people who have a certain proclivity to act a certain way, I'm like, this person has not been punched in the face nearly enough times, and it needs to happen more. It needs to happen often, and it needs sometimes you need to get You need to come to the point where I might see Jesus today, and you know that's okay. Because sometimes that really gives you a whole respect for the fact that you're still alive and this is good, and you can learn. You still have the possibility to learn the errors of your ways. When you don't have a sense that you are going to be held responsible for your actions in some way, when you believe that there are no consequences, that's when shit like this happens. When you believe that you are beyond reproach and that there is nothing that can actually give you the kind of meaningful direction that you need, sometimes with a firm hand or even a wooden spoon or paddle, it means that you're failing your kids, because you are teaching them that they have the right to feel superior, and no one should ever feel superior to another human being. And if you are not correcting that, you were at fault, and the result is this. I yield the mic.
Give the mic. Oh.
You know one of the issues I've always had with adults is this thing where, we go in and out of traffic on our jobs, and we have like this holier than thou. I'm an adult, so I can pretty much say and do whatever I want while being slaves to someone else that's essentially responsible for our paychecks coming in and out frequently. And we practice dishonor, we're sneaky, we're disloyal, we're greedy, we're lustful. We practice and exercise all of these fleshly desires, wants, needs, and things of that nature. And then when it comes down to really actually having to be held responsible for the development of another human being, we are super irresponsible. I'm not going to say the entire populace, but a large majority of adults are super irresponsible. They don't know how to talk around kids. They don't know how to dress around their kids. They don't know how to have conversations with other adults around their kids. And what do you have? What's the blueprint? What's to look for? How am I supposed to look to you to regulate my emotions, or how let's say I'm 7, 8 years old, Jason is sitting up here going back and forth with his wife or whatever. I'm like, I'm just the son here, and I'm looking at this like, is this normal? Is this what I'm supposed to reiterate? Is this how I'm supposed to deal with little girls and kids when I'm at school, or when I'm, or let's say Candace is at the store. I'm a teenager working the cash register. She comes, blah 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 blah. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for that. Blah, blah. How am I supposed to handle that? I'm just like 16, 17 years.
Just punch me in the face.
Like, I'm saying there's things that adults do, and you wonder why kids act the way they act. They're looking at you and they think it's okay to do it. And when they are the reflections of what you're putting out there, how can you say too much of anything except for try to blame other parents and blame everyone else for what's going on? While that is a factor, but in the same breath, it's like, well, you are kind of acting like a asshole. You are kind of being ignorant, you know? So, I mean, what do you expect? To Andy's point, I agree. We absolutely do need, and I've said this before, we definitely need to have more conversations like this. Jason is right as well. These things need to be put on the spot. They need to be magnified, identified, and it's just not popular for whatever reason to talk about stuff like this, which is crazy to me, because we could talk about everything else.
I think also in the public, that's my whole thing. Public, you don't know who's watching you. You really don't. And for me, I don't know what it is. People like to look at me all the damn time, and it's so annoying. And so I'll wear glasses. I'll wear like big shades that'll cover half of my face, and then I'll have my hat on, but it's not like I'm stealing or anything. It's just I don't like the attention that people bring to me. But I have friends that, they'll be yelling at each other in front of, their kids. And I'm like, hey, man, take that in the room. Although she don't see you, she don't have to see. She can hear you, but she don't have to see you. So when you come out, you can be like, all is well. So don't do that in front of her. And then you get, oh, don't tell me how to raise my kid. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up. But I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, sorry, kid, you got to go through this. Not everybody acts like this, so therefore you can still instill in them at the same time, like, if not, okay, because then it'll be the norm to them. And then they'll get, numb to it. So therefore that's all they would know. And that's all they go how to retaliate when they get older. So if you kind of try to come in and be like, oh, well, there was that one person that kind of said this to me. Not everybody acts this way. Who knows? So that's what I try to do. I'm like, look, there's only so much I can take because I don't like arguing either. I'll start stuttering. No, it just don't work for me. So I'll just take the leave. I'm like, call me later, when y'all figure all that out, but I don't like the arguing. Like my dad, he wasn't in the house. So it wasn't like, my mom and dad will always argue. I just don't like it. Nobody's getting nothing across. If you stay monotone and just be like, hey, let's work something out, you can hear each other. You don't have to talk over each other or anything. But it took me a long time to do that too. So, but that's what I learned for the kids. I always usually feel sorry for the kid. Then, however, the adult, they ain't had their life. It's the child that I feel sorry for in public.
One thing that I took from what you were saying, Mel, which I feel is very apt, is the reason why parents are so irresponsible with raising kids is because they haven't figured out that the moment that you have a child, it is no longer about your self-serving desires. It is now your opportunity to be of service to those Yes, exactly. To be of service to the kids that you are raising. And because they become like I said before, they become the future of our civilization. And one thing that I have a hard time with, and I think I've talked about this a few times. Anytime that we bring this up, I think this always comes up for me. I have a really hard time with parents who feel that their kids are a part of them, that they own their kids. It's like, no, you don't. And there's this great poem by Khalil Gibran. It's called the Prophet. And basically it's about this prophet that comes to, I think it's Babylon, and he provides these nuggets of knowledge for people. They gather around him, they ask him questions, and he gives a very poetic, very prolific way of answering. And this one woman who had a child in her arms said, "And what of children? Speak to us about children." And then the prophet says, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of light longing for itself. They come through you, but are not of you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can you can give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls live in the space of tomorrow that you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You can strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you." And parents forget that. Parents have forgotten that these children are the seeds of tomorrow. They are meant to be something greater than we could ever have been. And our job is to nurture that, to promote them being better than we could have been. Because as adults, we have now figured out that this is all that we are going to be able to do. This is all the effectiveness we're going to have. And if we encourage our children to strive beyond us and do so with responsibility, be of service to others the same way that I have been of service to you, that is the best that we can do as parents and even as human beings, to create that kind of dynamic where our children see us being of service to them and being of service to others, so that they grow up knowing that we have served them the best that we could, and that they can then go and to serve others and have children that they can also serve well. I yield the mic.
But proper boundaries, I believe, all in good boundaries, to do be unto others. I'm not like, that's like the golden rule, do unto others like you and want them to do unto you or whatnot. But there's got to be some boundaries, because I've learned giving of oneself is you're not even doing nothing for you're not taking care of yourself, because you're always taking care of somebody else. And yeah, you feel good about taking care of somebody else and it makes you feel happy, but you're not having anything for you. There's no reserve, because you're always getting called upon to, hey, can you run me this, or can you take me to the store, or can you sit with me while I go to my doctor's appointment? I'm like, yeah, I can do all that, and I'm happy to do that. But then what do you take for yourself is all my little comment.
So the idea of serving well does not mean self-sacrifice, because sacrifice is something that you can't get back. Being of service means that you can only be of service if you are serving yourself as well as you are serving others. There has to be a limit. Like you said, healthy boundaries are absolutely necessary. It's a part of my book. I talk about healthy boundaries as being able to develop into a proper leader. But the only way that you can do that is by recognizing that you have to have well-established boundaries, and you have to be willing to enforce them. And by doing that, you demonstrate to your children that yes, you can be of service, and you can say, this is as far as I will go, and I will go no further in how I interact with you. And as children get older, that boundary should be more and more. You should have more of a boundary as they get older, because they are expected to eventually become self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. And as you begin to let them know, no, I'm not doing that for you. You're supposed to do that for yourself. This is not my lane anymore. That you're fully capable of doing this on your own. I don't need to do it for you. And you can mentor them along the way. You can let them know how they can do better, ask them questions that get them to think. But if you continue doing things for them, you're right. They'll never learn, and you will always be suffering because you will never have that peace for yourself that you absolutely need.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
My last thoughts on that last video, and just to see if I can cover some of the comments. There's no way in the world in this universe where I could foresee my children trying to literally stab me to death because I turned off the Wi-Fi. How do you get that spoiled and feel that entitled to the point you throw a fit over the internet?
I got a solution for it because I had something, not where my kids was chasing me, but my solution was I had 2 Wi-Fis. So with the school, you know, during COVID time or whatever, they would give internet for like Cox Cable was giving out internet for like $10 or something like that. But the gigabytes or whatever it is that, you know, you get for the internet, it wasn't enough, you know. So therefore, I let them log on to that one. And then I would lie and say that I'm logged on too, you know. And so when it starts slowing down and slowing down and slowing down, and y'all only too much, you know. But although I had my own, but they were like running up the Wi-Fi or the signal or whatever. But I'm like, well, you gotta wait till next month because this is all that you get. I'm like, so yeah, you can still be on your phone and everything, but it's gonna be so slow to where it's just loading and loading and loading and loading and loading. So that's how I did my kids, and it was like, you can't buy no more. I don't have no money, you know. So it's like, no, I'm gonna teach y'all. Y'all gonna learn today. But that was my solution. It may not work for others. I'm petty.
I come at this from the perspective of what I didn't get from my own parents and seeing the consequences of that. For my own kids, I will be introducing them to finances quite early. Like I'm gonna start with, they'll even learn change and like dollar bills and stuff like that, which a lot of kids aren't even, I feel like a lot of kids aren't even exposed to that. They're just exposed to debit cards, credit cards. Money just exists on plastic for you to use.
Cash App.
But if you use physical money, it actually helps you learn financial skills more effectively and more quickly because you actually have it in front of you. You have the tangible money, and it like makes the loss of that money physical, tangible. Like you can see yourself, I have this much money and now I have this much money. So I would definitely start with giving them small amounts of money at their age, probably around like 7, 8. That way they start to understand the value of money, essentially, because if you lose it, you're not getting it back, and I'm not just going to give you money every time you lose it. So one, you have to kind of start them early with it. Start with small habits, start with small behaviors that will eventually snowball into bigger habits. That's why I say that being exposed over your lifetime is, or earlier through your lifetime, is better because it accumulates. If you start at, it's kind of like with savings, where if you start saving at 70, you're not going to have enough money for anything. But if you start saving when you're 20, you'll probably live a pretty good life as long as you keep up that habit. So as we've been covering, I want to teach them the habits. That way they can take them and use them as they will when they're old enough to start. So my closing thoughts: don't start later in life. Start them young. Start with small habits. Watch ice cream if you have the opportunity. deny yourself little pleasures.
You usually go, hello.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
So
I'm waiting on the ice trucks.
Man, they too expensive. I went out there. It was like $3 for like some ice. Yeah, I'm like, you can keep driving. You know, you can keep driving, sir. I'll go to Costco and give me a nice scoop of ice cream for $1.50.
There you go. There you go. For my final thoughts, I think that the thing that really hit me the most, or that I took away from this the most, is how important it is to be engaged in your children's lives and to be there for the emotional development that they need, and to make that a priority. And if you're not making that a priority, you are setting your kids and yourself up to fail. And you create in them a sense of bitterness. One thing that I meant to talk about is for a child to have the kind of violent tendencies of wanting to attack their parents because of the Wi-Fi, the amount of bitterness, of pent up anger and frustration, of resentment, and of just absolute belief that their mother was a monster to go to that level. It's remarkable. It tells me that the level of emotional development, of emotional nurturing that kids need from parents was not there. And it's sad. It's it's really, it's a horrible thing. So I'm hoping that that it changes.
In today's society, who knows?
I yield the mic.
I just wanted to add into also going off of what you're saying, the emotional part is just as crucial for finances, because people that are mired by self-esteem issues, that feel like they don't have a purpose, that feel like they don't have a direction in life, are more likely to spend money on other things that give them temporary joys. People that have very little emotional connection to people are more likely to gamble, they're more likely to drink, they're more likely to overshop, they're more likely to to go into debt to get things that they think that they want, and to impress people that they don't even know and who don't care about them. So by nurturing their self-esteem on top of their intellectual capabilities, they'll be better off overall anyways. They'll understand the value of themselves as much as the value of a dollar.
Nice. I just said my final thought is, I believe if you spend 15 minutes a day with your kids at the dinner table or whatever, you know, just sit them down after school, let them have a snack. Just if you spend 15 minutes with them a day, they'll go a long way, and it'll in developing them to have family time and bonding time, and they'll be more caring towards others just because they had that 15 minutes of non-mayhem, I guess. But it goes a long way. My girls are good. They get on my nerves, but they're good.
Hey, I want to say thank you to everybody tonight. Very, very versed. Everybody's views on this, man. We do need to hear this more. We do need to have these discussions more, and I thank God to be in a position to make it possible. We definitely have to spin back on this one at some point. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat, Hassam, Lucas, for joining in on the discussion, your opinions and your views. Oh, and I can't
Legend. Andy Legend.
Yes, that's who I was thinking about too. Y'all sharing y'all thoughts on this, man, it means a lot. It says that we're not the only one who have these views or see the significance in these discussions. So I want to thank y'all as well for being here, and everybody watching. I hope everybody here enjoys the rest of their evening. Wednesday's around the corner. Sydney, I'll see you tomorrow.
Hump day.
Yeah.
Wait, are you going to San Diego? Where's my invite? Jason, where you at?
I'm in the land where it's cold. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, over in Canada.
Oh, hey, mate. No, that's Australian. Hey.
I'm originally from Massachusetts, but because my wife is up here, I followed her.
Oh, that's awesome. I've only been down there once.
Nice.
But it was Niagara. But yeah, hey, all right. Well, that's all, folks.
Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night, man. Y'all be safe on the road, wherever you going. We signing out. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Good talking. Good talking.
Hi, guys.
With a K.
Bye.